Today, I'm talking with one of CQUniversity's most celebrated teachers, Associate Professor Michael Cowling. Michael, welcome to In Conversation.
Thanks, Nick. Great to be here.
You are an ICT expert, but you're also the most recent recipient of an award for teaching excellence, which is awarded as part of the Australian Awards for University Teaching. Frankly, it's one of Australia's highest recognitions of teaching excellence. So for starters, let me say congratulations. I bet a lot of people listening are in awe of you achieving such an award. But a lot of other people are wondering, how do you do it? How can they go about winning such an award like that?
For me, the biggest thing is that it's about putting the student first, about understanding what our students actually need and just delivering that to our students. And for me, that usually involves technology because I'm a technology teacher, but it also involves putting the pedagogy first and really understanding what actually happens in the classroom. So ultimately, my application was about describing what I do in the classroom and really talking about how I use technology to make the classroom experience better for students. And then of course awards at this level also say, once you've done that, how do you then take that out into the world? How do you disseminate that practice with other teachers? How do you let other people know how to be a good teacher? Whether that's K-12 teachers, and I do a lot of work with K-12 teachers, or teachers at our own institution as well.
I wonder whether technology's been put to the test during COVID times. Suddenly, the teachers have been delivering online. Students have been zooming in from their kitchen table and, of course, uploading their final assignments online. How have teachers managed? Let's take Queensland as an example. You've worked with hundreds of Queensland teachers. How has that gone? Has that improved teaching understanding of technology and the use in the classroom? How have we adapted overall?
School teachers are good teachers, right? They're good teachers to get to that level. And so the Weaving Tech workshops are not so much about teaching them how to be teachers, it's about teaching them how technology can improve their teaching. And if I can do that, if I can show them technology and get them to a point where they have a light bulb moment, where they go, oh, that's how I could use that in history or English or maths or whatever it might be, then that's what I want to achieve from the Weaving Tech workshops. And so in answer to your question about how have things changed for COVID, ultimately, I think a lot of our teachers have responded reasonably well. And at watching the K-12 sector, I think they've morphed pretty well towards this new technology, but I think conquering that fear of technology has been the real challenge for a lot of them. So they know that the technology exists, they want to use the technology, but working out how to use that technology effectively and not being scared of that technology is interesting. And I think COVID in particular just kind of gave us this opportunity where you had to do that. And so previously we didn't have to do that, and I sometimes make jokes about in university sector the old fashioned academic with the beard and the tweed jacket and the leather patches on the arms, right, who will never go away from his chalkboard. In 2020 he had to do that, he had no choice. And so I think the technology's given us that break. And so the challenge for me is helping people get over that fear and using the technology effectively.
Michael, one of the measures of whether you've been successful, I know it's not totally down to you, but leaders, educational leaders such as yourself, one of the measures will be whether we resort back to our old ways straight after COVID. Do you think that the changes are largely embedded? Do you think that people have taken up the opportunity that technology provides to the classroom?
Last year we all assumed we were going towards online. This year we've finally been invited back to classrooms, and we all got so excited in March. We actually got to see real students for the first time in like 12 months. And then the question then gets asked, well, does that mean all of those old crotchety university lecturers are going to go back to their blackboards and their tweed jackets, or are they going to move towards the technology? And the answer I'm hearing back from the stakeholders for Ascolite is, it depends, right? Some of what we've done, we've recognised is really, really good practice. And other places, we've got academics and teachers who are saying, no, I really want to get back to the classroom. I really want to get back to the students. And so I think, and this is a bit of crystal ball gazing, but I think it's ultimately going to be a combination of the two.
What do you think? Do you think we have gone far enough with the technological opportunities given the current state of technology? And importantly, have we given a great exposure, a great example to our students so they've seen how it can work? Has that been a great opportunity for our students, or can you always do more?
I think you can always do more. I'd hope you can always do more, because I'm an ICT lecturer, and if the answer is we can't do any more, then
stop now.
But I think ultimately we can always do more. We can always do more with technology. But I think, as I said to you earlier, I think the challenge for us is helping all of those academics to level up. It's a very gaming term, to level up, to really understand how the technology can be used effectively. And so I think we can do more with the technology, and we can use the technology more effectively. But we need to go pedagogy first. And I often say pedagogy before technology.
Yeah.
That's my mantra. And I think if you go to an academic and you say to an academic, here's a great new piece of technology, I'm going to force you to use it because I'm the Vice-Chancellor, that's not going to work, right?
Yeah.
If you go to an academic and you say to an academic, here's a great new piece of technology, here's how you can use it effectively in the classroom, then you get that light bulb moment that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah. You're broadly known as Professor Tech, and you, I've already mentioned, you're not only teaching at the university level, you're teaching teachers, kindergarten teachers, and students all the way through to year 12. You must feel as though you're making a remarkable difference. Here at CQUniversity, our mantra is, we change lives. And it reminds us when we're wading through emails or marking assignments at midnight that actually what we do makes a real difference. How do you feel about your success up to now, all the awards you've won, all the work you're putting in? Are you changing lives?
I'd hope so, and it's funny that you should ask that, because it is, I think, as academics often we can get a bit lost in some of the details. You know, you're running the class again for the 8,000th time, and it feels very routine, right? So I think remembering that we're changing individual lives, we're changing students' lives, is really important, and that's why I go to every orientation that I can go to. I go to every graduation, and I know you do the same, because I love seeing a student at the beginning of their journey and then at the end of their journey, and realizing that a student knows, in my case, something about IT and a lot of stuff about IT that they didn't previously know before they started. And I taught them that, right? I helped them with that. And that's the same with the school teachers and with the kids. So as Professor Tech, I go to schools, and you're surrounded by 60 school kids that are all in VR or AR or something like that. And they're all having a massively great time, right?
Yeah.
They're enjoying themselves, they're walking the plank, or they're playing with the dinosaurs. But then you'll get one or two that comes up to you afterwards and says, hey, look, I really enjoyed this. How can I become an ICT professional? How can I do some work in VR? What do I need to program in? What language do I need to start working with in order to do this work? And you realise that you're changing these individual lives as well.
Good on you, Michael. Well, that's all that we've got time for. My sincere thanks to Associate Professor Michael Cowling for joining me in conversation today, and thank you all for watching. I'm Professor Nick Klomp. This is Associate Professor Michael Cowling. You've been watching In Conversation. Until next time.